The psychology behind disrespectful behavior in court. What drives defendants to act out? What is the reason that defendants put themselves in danger by acting out in court? Would you say that it is merely an impulse, or is there anything more profound that is hiding beneath the surface? As somber halls of justice, courtrooms are considered to be places where decorum is of the utmost importance. On the other hand, we have witnessed defendants losing their composure, and in some cases even resorting to outbursts or behavior that is rude, which has the potential to make their legal standing much worse. This behavior may appear unreasonable to an observer. Nonetheless, the psychology that underlies it exposes a complicated interaction between feelings, stress, and the underlying characteristics of the individual. The pressure cooker effect, often known as emotional overload, is the first topic. Courtrooms are situations that are fraught with danger. Many times, defendants are overcome with an overwhelming sense of worry, fear, and anxiety from the situation. A psychological pressure cooker is created as a result of the fact that their entire future could be dependent on the outcome of the trial. Imagine having your entire life scrutinized and debated. Would you still keep your cool? The capacity of individuals to control their feelings is diminished when they are experiencing great emotional distress. They may act out, not because they want to, but because they are just unable to deal with the abundance of feelings that are rushing through them. This is especially true for people who have difficulty controlling their impulses, such as those who suffer from borderline personality disorder or intermittent explosive disorder. Defensiveness and the perception of unfairness are the second point. The feeling that one is being treated unfairly is a crucial factor that contributes to disrespectful behavior. Defendants can experience a sense of being trapped if they believe that they are being treated unfairly, whether it be through biased interrogation, what they perceive to be false claims, or even an unequal judge. During these kinds of circumstances, acting out is frequently a defense technique. When people feel wronged, their instinct is to fight back, sometimes in the worst possible place. In terms of their psychological makeup, people need control and fairness. They can reclaim power through disrespectful behavior if they have the perception that things are being taken away from them. They use this as a means of standing up for themselves in situations where they feel the system is working against them. The impact of narcissism and entitlement is discussed in the third point. It is possible for certain defendants, particularly those who exhibit narcissistic characteristics, to experience the courtroom as a personal assault on their inflated sense of self-sufficiency. Individuals who suffer from narcissism frequently exhibit an inflated sense of self-importance and entitlement. Arrogance, scorn, or defiance are possible responses that they may exhibit when they have the perception that their authority or identity is being called into doubt. When confronted with the gavel of justice, how does an inflated ego fare the situation? It would appear that not well. These kinds of people might consider the courts to be beneath them, or they might consider the legal procedure to be an insult to their sense of intellectual superiority. Therefore, their disrespectful behavior may stem from a deeply ingrained attitude that they should not be held to the same rules as everyone else. Fourth, the influence of social and cultural factors. Depending on the individual's cultural or socioeconomic background, there are examples of contempt in the courtroom. Depending on the cultural context, certain behaviors that are considered disrespectful in a courtroom environment may be considered appropriate expressions of passion or exasperation under other circumstances. For instance, in some groups, raising one's voice or interrupting others would not be considered intrinsically disrespectful. Nevertheless, in the courts, the same behavior can result in severe repercussions depending on the circumstances. Could cultural norms clash with courtroom rules, leading to unintended defiance? It is also possible for defendants who originate from communities that are underprivileged or disenfranchised to experience a sense of alienation from the justice system. There is a possibility that their actions are a manifestation of this disconnection, in which people view the court not as an impartial arbitrator of justice, but rather as a component of an oppressive organization. It is possible that their activities, rather than being motivated by a particular legal issue, are motivated by a more general feeling of injustice. 5. Problems with an individual's mental health and substance abuse. There is a significant proportion of defendants who exhibit disruptive behavior in court who are battling with untreated mental health disorders or substance addiction concerns. The ability of a person to realize the gravity of the situation and to control their impulses might be hindered by conditions such as profound depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar illness. Substance misuse can also make erratic behavior worse, which can result in outbursts of disrespectful behavior towards others. When mental illness and addiction collide with courtroom decorum, sparks are bound to fly. Rather than being subjected to legal punishment, these persons frequently require psychiatric treatment. Nevertheless, the courtroom is not always able to address the underlying issues that demand attention. However, even though their behavior seems disrespectful, it may be an indication of more profound issues, rather than an intentional act of defiance. Testing boundaries. Rebellion against authority is the sixth recommendation. A sort of defiance against authority is exhibited by certain defendants when they behave disrespectfully. People who have a history of challenging authoritative figures, whether as a result of a bad past or an oppositional nature, may view the court as another body that they should defy. For the rebellious, the courtroom is just another battleground in a lifelong struggle against authority. From a psychological standpoint, these individuals frequently exhibit a profound mistrust of institutions and those in positions of authority, such as judges, prosecutors, and law enforcement officials. Their outbursts in the courts may be a reflection of this ongoing conflict, which serves as a symbol of their rejection of the system as a whole. Insufficient comprehension or preparation is the seventh reason. Last but not least, there are those defendants who may act out simply because they do not completely comprehend the procedures that take place in the courtroom or the gravity of their acts. Defendants can give the impression that they are disrespectful in situations when their counsel fails to sufficiently prepare them or does to understand proper legal etiquette. This is true even when the defendant's behavior may be the result of ignorance rather than intent. Sometimes, the loudest courtroom outbursts come from those who never truly grasp the rules in the first place. In particular, this is the case for defendants who are either young or have a restricted level of knowledge. Within the extremely formal environment of a courtroom, they may be unaware of how particular gestures, tones, or words are interpreted by the audience. Cognitive dissonance and coping mechanisms are discussed in the eighth psychological perspective. When seen from a psychological perspective, the behavior of defendants that is so disrespectful can frequently be interpreted as dysfunctional coping techniques. People may resort to outbursts as a means of coping with the internal turmoil that they experience when they are confronted with overwhelming stress or feelings of powerlessness. This conduct could also be a form of cognitive dissonance, which is the mental pain that results from holding ideas that conflict with one another, for example, considering oneself as innocent while being regarded as guilty. To alleviate this dissonance, defendants may engage in disruptive activity to align their exterior behavior with their interior feelings, even if doing so requires them to violate the decorum of the courtroom. When the mind is in conflict, the body reacts, and often in the most unexpected ways. It is easier to see why defendants could behave irrationally in situations when there is a lot of pressure when they have this perspective. #### concluding remarks. A complicated web of psychological threads. In the courtroom, disrespectful behavior is not a phenomenon that can be generalized to all cases. Emotional stress, personality features, cultural origins, mental health difficulties, and frequently a lack of comprehension of the legal procedure are all factors that contribute to its formation. Legal professionals can handle circumstances like this with more empathy and insight if they have a better understanding of the psychological reasons that are behind such behavior. The next time you witness a courtroom outburst, remember, behind every act of defiance lies a tangled web of psychology waiting to be unraveled. By recognizing these variables, more humane and effective methods of dealing with defendants who act out may be developed. This will ensure that justice is achieved not only via the imposition of punishment, but also through a deeper comprehension of human nature. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.